Hi, do you know the meaning of the word Laden? How about the word perplexed? In today's video, we're going to read and learn advanced words and phrases from a news article. This article is from CNBC.com. The article's headline reads, British supermarkets are rationing fruit and vegetables as shortages bite. Now, if you're ready, let's get started. All right, now let's read the headline first. Try to read along with me so you can practice your pronunciation. British supermarkets are rationing fruit and vegetables as shortages bite. All right, now let's read the first paragraph. Shoppers in the United Kingdom, UK, are having to hunt around to find supplies of fruit and vegetables. Britain's major supermarkets are rationing produce like cucumbers, peppers, and tomatoes amid shortages from suppliers. The big chains have cited various reasons for the shortfall in supply that has left shelves bare in green grocery aisles. All right, now let's take a look at the first word, rationing. All right, so rationing is a noun, and this means the act of limiting consumption of a particular resource or commodity. Now, rationing is a noun. It means the act of limiting the consumption of a particular resource or commodity. So this is usually due to a scarcity or in times of an emergency, like for instance, there's a natural disaster. So there may be shortages of food. We can use this as a verb, which is to ration something, or we can also use this as an adjective, which is ration. For example, as a noun, we can say the government implemented rationing during the war to ensure that everyone received a fair share of essential goods. So as a noun, we can use it this way. The government implemented rationing during the war to ensure that everyone received a fair share of essential goods. As a verb, we can use it in this example. The water supply was rationed during the drought to conserve resources. The drought. So the water supply, it was rationed. So it's used here as a verb during the drought to conserve resources. So as an adjective, here's another example. The soldiers were given rationed food during their mission. So the adjective here is ration food. So food is the noun, the adjective ration describes the food. All right, now let's have a short synonym test. So here, let's answer. All of these are synonyms or alternatives for rationing, except, is it A, allocation, B, distribution, is it C, limitation, or is it D, abundance? The answer is abundance. All of these are synonyms or alternatives: allocation, distribution, and limitation. Now let's listen to some more examples.
Because of the fuel crisis and rationing measures, no cars will be allowed on the roads on Sunday.
All right, the next word that we're going to learn is to hunt around. So to hunt around means to search or look for something. So this is in a determined and thorough manner, often by moving around and checking different places. To hunt around. So this is a verb phrase, Now, as a verb, we can say to hunt or to search for something. As a noun, hunt is hunter. This is a person or an animal that hunts. All right, now let's take a look at some example sentences. Here's a verb phrase. We can use it this way. I had to hunt around the house to find my keys. So I lost my keys. I had to hunt around the house to find my keys. So as a verb, we can say, he went hunting around the city for a new apartment. He went hunting. And as a noun, we can say, my grandfather was a skilled hunter and enjoyed hunting for deer. And as an adjective, we can say, we went on a hunting trip. A trip is a noun. What is that? What is that trip? It's a hunting trip. Hunting is the adjective that describes the noun. All right, now let's have a synonym test. So all of these are synonyms or alternatives for to hunt around, except. Is it A, search, B, overlook, C, rummage, or is it D, scour? The answer is B, overlook. All of these are synonyms or alternatives for rationing, search, rummage, and scour. Antonyms. The opposite of these words are neglect, overlook, or abandon. All right, now the next word is amid. So the pronunciation of this is amid. Amid. Amid is a preposition. This means to be surrounded by or in the middle of. Now other forms are amidst. Amidst. Amidst is an adverb. This is the same as amid, but with a slightly more literary or formal connotation. All right, now let's take a look at some example sentences. So as a preposition, for instance, we could say the children played amid the flowers in the garden. The children played amid, in the middle of the flowers in the garden. Now, as an adverb, we can say the old church stood tall amidst the modern building. So the old church stood tall amidst the modern buildings. All right, now let's have a synonym test. All our synonyms or alternatives for amid, except. Is it A, among? Is it B, in the middle of? C, beyond? Or D, surrounded by? The answer is C, beyond. So all of these are synonyms or alternatives for amid, among, in the middle of, and surrounded by. Now here are some of the antonyms or opposites. So the antonyms are outside, beyond, far from. So these are antonyms. Now let's listen to some more examples.
City services have been affected and some businesses have decided to remain closed amid the unrest.
All right, the next word is shortfall. So the big chains have cited various reasons for the shortfall in supply. The shortfall in supply. Shortfall here is a noun. So what does that mean? Shortfall, again, this is a noun, which means the lack in the amount or quantity needed. So this is the lack in the amount or quantity needed. Again, this is a noun. So here's an example sentence. The company experienced a shortfall or a lack in revenue due to the decrease in sales. Because of the decrease in sales, the company experienced a lack in revenue. A decrease in revenue. Now again, let's have a synonym test. All of these are synonyms or alternatives for shortfall, except. Is it A, deficit, B, surplus, C, shortage, or is it D, scarcity? The answer is surplus. All of these are synonyms or alternatives for shortfall: deficit, shortage, and scarcity. Here are words that are opposite with shortfall. You can say surplus, abundance, and sufficiency. All right, now let's listen to some more examples.
Do you fund any shortfall in expenses?
Back in the early 90s, this was before the 3 strikes and you're out legislation, there was a budget shortfall and a rise in escape attempts.
Read the next 2 paragraphs. Britain's biggest supermarket chain, Tesco, has limited purchases of certain vegetables to 3 per customer. Tesco attributed its shortages to adverse weather overseas. In particular, it said a drought in Morocco had led to poor yields. Tesco assured customers it was working day and night to get things back to normal. Other factors are being blamed for the rationing. Britain's Farmers' Union said higher energy costs meant it was no longer financially viable for many growers to operate. It also said a tomato disease has wiped out a lot of crops across Northern Europe. All right, the next word that we're going to learn is attributed. Attributed. So attributed here is a verb, which means to credit or assign something. Okay, so it means to credit or assign something to a particular person or cause. Here, Tesco attributed, credited, or blamed the shortages to the adverse weather overseas. So because of this, there is a shortage. Now let's take a look at the other forms. As a noun, we can say attribution. Now let's take a look at some example sentences. So as a verb, the author attributed the success of the book to his editor. He credited the success of the book to who? To the editor. As a noun, we can use it this way. The attribution of the painting to the famous artist increased its value. All right, so in particular, it said a drought in Morocco had led to poor yields. Poor meaning poor harvest. Poor yields, poor harvest. Tesco assured its customers it was working day in and night. It refers to who? It is Tesco. Tesco is working day and night to get things back to normal. All right, now let's have a synonym test. So all of these are synonyms or alternatives for attribute, except is it A, credit, B, ascribe, C, impute, or D, dissociate? The answer is D, dissociate. All of these are synonyms or alternatives for attribute, credit, ascribe, and impute. Now here are some antonyms. The opposite of attribute, deny, disclaim, and dissociate. The opposite, deny, disclaim, and dissociate. All right, now let's listen to some more examples.
You attribute all this to a passenger, but you can give me no proof he actually exists.
I won't.
The next word that we're going to learn is financially viable. All right, next, other factors are being blamed for the rationing. So it's not only because of the adverse weather overseas, there are other factors as well. Britain's Farmers' Union said higher energy cost meant it was no longer financially viable for many growers to operate. Higher energy costs is another factor that contributes to the shortage. All right, so here's a good collocation, financially viable. What does that mean? Financial viability. Financial viability, that's the noun. So this means the ability to generate income or revenue to what? To sustain itself, to be profitable. So it is its ability to generate income, because without income or revenue, your business is not able to sustain itself. You won't be able to have money to pay for operating costs, your employees. You won't have any more money to pay them. So your business will collapse. All right, now let's take a look at different forms. Financially, this is an adverb. All right, so here's here's another example. The business plan seemed financially viable. So we decided to invest in it. Okay, so it seems financially viable. The business plan seemed financially viable. It seems to probably can generate income or revenue. So we decided to put our money in it. Put our money means to invest in it. All right, now let's have a synonym test. All of these are synonyms or alternatives for financially viable, except, is it A, financially feasible, B, financially sustainable, or C, economically viable, or D, unprofitable? The answer is D, unprofitable. All of these are synonyms or alternatives for financially viable. Financially feasible, financially sustainable, and economically viable. All right, now let's listen to some more examples.
It was never financially viable, you know that.
Now let's read the last paragraph. Industry analyst James Walton said Brexit has played a part in distribution problems. He said, the EU accounts for much of the UK's import volume. If there are shortfalls in production in the EU, then it makes sense for EU producers to serve their local demand first. This leaves less available for export to the UK. Many shoppers are perplexed at seeing photos on social media of supermarket shelves across Europe, and in war-torn Ukraine, laden with fresh produce. All right, so industry analyst James Walton said Brexit has played a part in distribution problems. So what do you mean when you say played a part? So played a part means to have contributed in something, usually in something that's quite minor. So this is, by the way, a verb phrase. It's a verb phrase. So Brexit contributed to distribution problems, but nothing major. All right, now let's take a look at some more examples. Well, John played a part in organizing the company's annual event. Annual meaning yearly. So John played a part. He contributed something minor. So John played a part in organizing the company's annual or yearly event. Okay, now let's have a synonym test. So all of these are synonyms or alternatives for played the part, except, is it A, hindered, B, participated, C, contributed, or D, supported? The answer is A, hindered. So all of these are synonyms or alternatives for played a part, participated, contributed, and supported. Now let's take a look at some more examples.
And then he comes here and persuades us all into confessing that we each played a part in this girl's death.
All right, moving on. He said the EU accounts for much of UK's import volume. So import means you're buying goods from other countries, and the opposite of that is export. You are sending goods to other countries. If there are shortfalls in production in the EU, then it makes sense for EU producers to serve their local demand first, people in their country. This leaves less available for export to the UK. Many shoppers are perplexed. So when you say perplexed, that means to be confused, puzzled, or uncertain about something. So this is an adjective. Other forms, as a verb, we can say perplex. As a noun, perplexity. All right, now here are some example sentences. So let's use it in an adjective. The students, or the sorry, this. So the student looked perplexed when the teacher asked him a difficult question. So the student looked confused or puzzled when the teacher asked him a difficult question. All right, now as a verb, we can use it this way. The complex directions to the new office building perplexed the delivery driver. Okay, so the complex directions. The direction to the new office is pretty difficult. Because of that, it confused the delivery driver. Now, as a noun, perplexity, we can use it this way. The perplexity of the situation made it difficult to come up with a solution. So because the situation is very confusing, it made it very hard for them to come up with a solution. All right, now let's have a synonym test. So all of these are synonyms or alternatives for perplexed except. Is it A, puzzled, B, confused, C, bewildered, or D, comprehensible? The answer is D, comprehensible. So all of these are synonyms or alternatives for perplexed, puzzled, confused, and bewildered. All right, now let's take a look at the word from the article again. Many shoppers are perplexed at seeing photos on social media of supermarket shelves across Europe and in war-torn Ukraine laden with fresh produce. So they were perplexed. They were confused. The shoppers were puzzled or they were confused when they saw pictures on social media of supermarkets that were bare. All right, now let's take a look at this word. We have laden. Laden with fresh produce. Okay, so when you say laden, so this is an adjective. And this means something that is heavily loaded or burdened with something. Now it's your turn. To activate these new vocabulary words and expressions that you just learned, try to use them in actual conversations. I suggest that you join a conversation group to practice speaking with other English learners. 2, you can find a language exchange partner and practice speaking English via Skype or Zoom. Or 3, you can use a free language app that you can practice with native English speakers. The opportunities are just endless. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for learning English with me. Don't forget to connect with me on my other social media accounts. I have my Facebook group and I also have my Instagram. And that is it for today. I'll see you in the next one.